It's been quite an interesting time. Last week we had the elections, we had result of some of the elections. We had people going out to vote. We had Ethiopia putting a plane on the air, Boeing, and we had it not arriving at its destination. All through all these experiences, some interesting, some not so much, we had you in mind and we planned for you. And we kept abreast with all the activities to ensure that by the time you joined us on Weekend Deal, you will know everything that we know, just how we know it. Of course, I'm not here alone.
Definitely, and Thelma, of course, we are going to be, interrogating some issues regarding the electoral process in Nigeria and the issue of leadership. Of course, you don't have good leadership without good followership. The two go in that order. One, there must be a kind of balance if truly we are going to experience that sustainable development that we crave for as Nigerians. Welcome once again to the studios of Weekend Deal, Africa's biggest deal. It's always a pleasure to have you join us on the show. My name is Suleiman Babajia Usman.
My name is Thelma Obaze.
My name is Magnus Abe. I'm a citizen of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. You're watching Weekend Deal on the Nigerian Television Authority network program. Keep watching Weekend Deal. It will make your day better and it will make your life better. Thank you very much.
Weekend Deal. It's always great to have you keep our company on Weekend Deal, talking about Africa's biggest deal. In fact, the only deal that you should bother yourself with. We continue to unveil what we have put together for you on Weekend Deal today, and Lenten Talk is next. Lent began almost 2 weeks ago, and the activities they have spearhead its takeoff. Let's see this.
Every year in the Christian liturgical calendar, different days and periods are mapped out for different religious activities, from the Christmas to the Easter and beyond. The Easter celebration, which is the resurrection of Christ, is usually preceded by the period of Lent, starting with the Ash Wednesday and will span for 40 days.
The word ash, if we look at the original meaning, is symbolizing sacrifices and fasting.
This year, the Lenten season started on the 6th of March. But how did it all start? And what does this represent to the Christian?
For me, Lent is a period of you to reconcile with God. It's a moment of you drawing back to God and look up to Him alone.
It's a period for recollection. It's a period where you have to take your mind back to many things that have passed, how you have lived your life as a person, how you have lived your life, what you want your life to be, and you think of so many things, your sins, and you want to make atonement for it.
Came about following the biblical foundation of Christ in Matthew chapter 4, verses 1 and 2, that he was led into the wilderness, and from there he fasted 40 days and 40 nights. That is our biblical foundation. We know that all of us have sinned and have fallen short of God's glory, and Jesus took it upon himself to die for our sins. He was arrested, He was tried, he was crucified, he died for our sins, which he knew nothing about. And so he paid the penalty. And so that's why we see Lenten season as a penitential period where we show signs of remorsefulness and then resolving in our hearts to amend our ways of life.
What activities are expected of the followers of Christ during this period?
It is expected that Christians fast. And Jesus expects us to fast because he fasted. The elders of the church, the leaders of the church, even among the early Christians, they fasted. We fast for specific purposes. It's not just that we abstain from food. When we say we are fasting, we fast with the aim of seeking God's face on specific matters. Those matters may relate to our lives individually, it may relate to the nation, it may relate to churches, it may relate to families, and it may relate to other issues around us.
Well, during Lenten season, a Christian is expected to conduct himself, to come closer to his God, to also observe almsgiving, forgiveness, to people that offend you in one way or the other.
It's a period where we, the Christians, actually the Catholics actually, observe the same teachings, he said, teachings of prayer, almsgiving, and fasting.
We must not fast with wrong motive, because Jesus specifies the right motive for fasting. And so during the period of fasting, it is the time for me to actually seek the face of God with grounded faith and new life in Christ Jesus. Fasting is not to be done for self-approval. It is not to be done for self-recognition. It is not to be done for people to actually know that I am fasting. Because when I do that, or when we do that, we have received our reward.
The hallmark of activities during this period are prayers and good works towards one another, Christian and non-Christian alike. Let us therefore cash in on it, reflect on our individual contributions towards building our great nation, Nigeria. After all, loving your neighbor as yourself remains the greatest command.
Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me.
Yes, we are indeed in a spiritual season, and of course we should use this opportunity to pray for our dear nation, pray for peace and progress of Nigeria, pray for our leaders to guide us to the right path. And of course,
forgive anyone that's wronged you. Be kind. Give alms.
Well, give alms. You've heard it. Of course, that will surely put a smile on everybody's face. And then talking about the need to pray for our leaders, some say leadership is very, very important to, achieving any idea of development. And then when you get it right, when you talk about leadership recruitment and all of that, it has some dire consequences for that process. So let's start with this feature that talks about leadership.
I have a dream that one day this nation will rise up and live out the true meaning of its creed. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal.
I am not presenting a fashion show here, but I simply would like to say that we must accept to live the African way. It's been the only way to live in freedom and in dignity. Visionary, selflessness, love for our people and fatherland. These attributes of a true leader are difficult to find at this time. Africa and indeed Nigeria have been at thresholds of history. The quality of leadership at these times has often determined the narratives of such historical moments. The big question, therefore, has always been, who is a true leader?
A proper leader should be a Nigerian that is truly Nigerian. A Nigerian that will not only lead Nigeria, somebody who can also lead Africa. Because Nigeria and the Community of Nations is not an ordinary country. Most of the African countries look towards Nigeria for leadership. So you have to have a leader that understands his country, that has been able to carry his country along in terms of the developmental achievement, the progress, peace, and understanding of the situation of ordinary Nigerians.
The noble efforts of patriots in pre-independent Nigeria have been well documented. They represented the finest of Nigeria's history and reference point for character development.
We must ensure that in an independent Nigeria, individual citizens throughout the land enjoy liberty, human dignity, and equality under the law. There must be one Nigeria with one constitution and one law for all. Let us therefore, Mr. Chairman, sir, close our ears to the counsel of despair, which says that we cannot here at this conference agree on a constitution.
Nigerians always see their leader as if just Nigerian leader. They don't know how we are seen outside. And if we are able to get the right person who understands the situation, who understands Nigerians, who is not greedy, somebody who is ready to sacrifice. Because for a country that have so much resources like Nigeria, so that Nigeria is not a poor country, but we have so many poor people. Our resources have not really been harnessed properly. So we need a leader that understands this.
Prime Minister Balewa is making an official visit to America at the invitation of the President of the United States, John F. Kennedy.
And we respect the people of the United States for their love of freedom. The spirit of freedom which was kindled in the hearts of the founders of your great nation and has impelled you to great feats in moments of national emergency, as well as in your daily activities. That same spirit has shown itself in Africa, and we are determined that the flame of freedom once alight shall not go out again in our continent.
Nigeria's reputation around the world has largely been determined by the quality of its leadership and the character of its citizens.
And that leader has to be a leader that has those qualities. Person who can trust, person who is honest, person who can rely on, somebody who is able, ready to make sacrifices. Because leadership is about sacrifices. And leadership is about taking responsibilities. And we have a lot that we need a leader to take on. So we need that leader that will have that capacity to exhibit these qualities.
It makes no difference to me really whether I win this election or not. I want you to believe me, and I'm not talking politics. For 25 years of my life, I fought for the freedom of Nigeria. Nigeria will attain independence on October 1, 1960. So it makes no difference to me whether it's Sardauna or Balewa or Chief Awolowo or myself will become the first Prime Minister. So long as Nigeria is free, I'll be satisfied.
The utmost love for country and its people, the understanding that country comes first before any other interest, are what stand a true leader out from the pack.
A leader who understands the state and its people, a leader who has that experience and the capacity to accommodate not only those who are indigents of that state, but other Nigerians that have decided to live in that state. A leader they can trust, a leader that will be able to provide all those dividends that Nigerians are looking forward to.
In the words of Joseph Gilbert Orland, a time like these demands strong minds, great hearts, true faith, and ready hands. Men whom the lust of office does not kill, men whom the spoils of office cannot buy, men who possesses opinions and a will, men who have honor, men who will not lie, men who can stand before a demagogue and damn his treacherous flatteries without winking.
Indeed, something very critical is occurring, to me from what I just saw. This feature, no doubt, was put together by Wale Hamzat, and it takes us down memory lane, quite intriguing, thought-provoking, and at the end of the day, I'm taking away a very strong message. Men who put country over self, men whom the spoils of office cannot purchase, men who are there to grow Nigeria, men who are there to unite Nigeria.
Definitely.
Wow. It's quite inspiring.
And Thelma, the supreme quality of for leadership unquestionably is integrity. Without it, you can hardly achieve true success. And that is what we are calling for in Nigeria. Let our leaders be honest with us in their dealings, and they should also have that ability to bring people together, to work together.
Mind.
Yes.
Because if you have integrity and you bring women and men who lack it, you negate the essence of your purpose.
Definitely.
They must think like you do and be ready to pursue, without recourse to any negative opinion, the growth and unity of our country.
Unity of purpose. And that's what the president highlighted at some point, that that's one thing we lack in Nigeria, unity of purpose. It doesn't matter where you come from. As long as Nigeria is one, Nigeria is number one in your thought, then of course progress will surely be achieved.
Progress and development, that's fantastic. And still talking about leadership, what is the role of the followers? We also have an enormous responsibility to support our leaders, to guide them, to listen to them, to hearken to their call, because together we can build. This one is put together by Emeka. Let's see this.
Which way to go? I love my fatherland. Oh yeah. I want to know. I want to know which way Nigeria is headed.
They all come the same way. They speak the same language, make the same promises. The populace become important to them. All because they want endorsement for leadership. Leadership recruitment in Nigeria is still far from normal. Some avail themselves for leadership, others choose to follow. Whichever side you belong, you have a contribution to make in your community. In leadership, a man who wants to lead the orchestra must turn his back on the crowd. And followership, like leadership, is a role and not a destination.
Many years after independence, we still find it hard to start.
Many years after independence, impunity from leadership and followership is affecting national development. It is the season. Leadership recruitment drive is still ongoing. Nigeria must find a true path to national development and cohesion. We forget that decisions of today determines the future of the nation. We have lost national focus. Why do we jump queue? Why do we disrupt electoral process? Why engage in exam malpractice? Why do we celebrate nepotism? Corruption has become a way of life. Building a great nation is a call to service, and this is a call for all of us to answer. The best leader is the one who has sense enough to pick good men to do what he wants done, and the self-restraint to keep from meddling with them while they do it. Our individual contribution, no matter where or how small, is the desired sacrifice that we must make towards building a nation that we all desire. we must begin as individuals to encourage and commend what is right. Let us look for leaders with character and antecedents, people that are exemplary. Leaders we recruit must be people we can hold accountable. Our followership must come with commitment, and the time for all of us to start is now. Nigeria is in need of all of us. Yes, Nigeria is indeed in need of all of us, and sometimes as followers we forget the fact that we are also leaders in our own right, because if you are in your home right now, you can take up those leadership responsibility, and you don't need to be told to do this, to do that, and you can make impact wherever you are.
Even in your office, in your neighborhood, there's refuse at the junction, it's piling. You can go from house to house and tell them, can we contribute a little something to get rid of this? It's becoming a menace for us, making our children ill. But you ought not to wait to be told before you can take that responsibility. Same as your workplace too.
Definitely, and then sometimes we should be bold enough as followers to tell our leaders where they are, getting it wrong, because it's not enough to just follow. You must be critical in that process so that at least you're doing it for the betterment of our environment.
And the people, generations that will come after us, our children will also live here.
Definitely. And talking about children, of course, we all need food to grow. And right now, let's take you to the kitchen for tasty cuisine. Of course, you know our guy there, the regular Susan Adamu.
Eating a healthy, balanced diet daily provides the nutrients your body needs to keep the bones, organs, and muscles in optimum shape. It's glad to have you join us once again. My name is Susan Adamu. Join me as I welcome my special guest, Mrs. Iyayi.
I will be taking you on our breakfast section. I'll be teaching you how to make family omelets for your children. Here, baked beans, cheese, sauce, oil, carrots, green pepper, seasoning, onion, sausage, grape, salt, wafers, egg, butter, and spring onions. And the bread. Let's not forget the bread. As usual, we must first of all wash our hands. Wash all the fingernails, everything, because I'm going to be making use of my hands. The clean bowl with a fork. So we'll take the egg, we'll break it. So here, we're going to add a little bit of I'm going to add some carrots, onions, a little bit of the spring onions. See how colorful it looks? We're going to add a pinch of salt, and we'll add a little bit of seasoning, just a little bit. We'll now put on our non-stick pan. So we have to whisk together. We're mixing it, making everything go in. So here. So I'm going to be mixing mine. So I'm going to have to add a little bit of olive oil. Olive oil. We'll spread it around the pan. See? It will give it a good taste. The butter and the olive oil together. And the whisk egg with all the vegetables inside. And that's it. Spread it around the pan. allow it to bake. We're allowing it to bake. So while it's baking, you can see it's forming the shapes and becoming thick. So we're frying it actually, but at the same time there's a heat that is making it to bake to give it that thickness. So our egg is almost ready. So let's leave it a little bit to feel the heat. So let's flip it back so that the other side can, wow. So now we're going to work on our bread. So this is where the paste comes in. I'm going to add some of this paste. I'm going to add the paste. Yes. So that's it. Here's our cheese. So now our eggs is ready. So here we go. Put it here. And then we'll put the other one here. This is it. This is it. And then we have this. So now, because we're going to bake on the non-stick pot, we just take a little bit of the butter and go around. So you can make do with the toaster. So here, just you see, just trying to give it that crispy, crunchy feeling. So crispy it looks. Ready, and that's it. So we're going to add sausage to this when you have it ready. Just have it. Just have it here on top of it. Wow. So now here goes the sausage. Also like us to add a little bit of baked beans. You can see. Kids love fruits. Kids loves things that are beautiful, things that have colors, things that make them want to go for more. Everything here is balanced diet. Actually, you have protein, you have name it. It's all in here. Wow.
I'm sure somebody is coming in with something for Sule to breakfast with. Till I saw Susan take that deep bite, and I knew that that's not the story for today.
You know, after every episode of Tasty Cuisine, I usually have this thought in my mind. There's a big question in Nigeria at some point, a very popular question: where is the light? But I am asking a very simple question: where is the food? Trust me, Susan, you heard that.
But what made the meal quite interesting is that the chef said it's a balanced diet. In everything that we do, we must strike a balance and get the best of all the nutritious ingredients to balance out in our meals so that we are the better and the healthier for it. Okay, so we catch up with Susan later, and I'm sure she has something special for you, Sule.
I pray so.
Moving on, we're talking about the social media. Many of us use the social media. There's so many of them now. The Instagram, book, Face,
Twitter.
Tweet it. They say, go tweet it, go gram it. Okay, but are there dangers inherent in its usage? That's what this feature throws more light on. Let's see this.
Information is power. And in our society today, that power is at the fingertip of every user through the use of social media. The social media allows people to connect all over the world through sharing of information, opinions, thoughts, pictures, videos, and so on. The information shared can be true or false, or simply just the user's personal thought. Information shared on all social media platforms can be very difficult to verify, which is why local and national news outlets ensure the information they release is accurate, truthful, and sensitive in order to protect the unity of the nation.
It's difficult for an individual to ascertain the veracity of information he comes across, because, like I said, we all have different levels of interrogating such information. Most citizens do not have that capability, do not have that sensitivity, and so that's a problem. But maybe now we have a responsibility to begin to say, because of the danger of the social media, whatever you see on your device, you need to question the authenticity of the material you see on your device. Maybe that's where we need to start, to create some kind of orientation that a lot of material, not every material that comes on social media is genuine. Not every material you come across can be vouched for. Not every material that is on social media has been created with a certain degree of authenticity.
Social media has the power to affect social change in the society. It allows millions of users to have a voice, which can be used to spread the information they want. The major disadvantage of that is if the information is fake or reckless. Many followers of the user are likely to share and reshare the information. This could lead to discord that will sow hate and in turn threaten the peace and unity of a nation.
First thing is that every user of social media should first of all think in terms of peace, interest of peace, and then if there are issues that arise out of that in terms of justice and the need for justice, then such users should find ways of channeling their grievances rather than creating an atmosphere of chaos and unrest that might consume even the person who is who might just be an end user of a hate message. In the context of the unity of this country, it means that there's a lot of falsehood that can threaten the very existence, the very foundation of Nigeria. There are so many examples of how technology has been used to create unrest. A lot of things that we have seen of recent on social media actually are a threat to the very existence of this country in terms of ethnicity, in terms of religion, and just in terms of the falsehood, the volume of falsehood that has just been generated to make people feel that the country is not worth it's not worth living in. What I've seen in this election period across Nigeria shows that a lot of Nigerians are really not bothered about the peace and unity of this country, as long as a certain interest that they have is not achieved. And so that raises a very fundamental question. What does Nigeria mean to you as a citizen? You know, what does Nigeria mean to every individual who has a device and has a responsibility of protecting the interest of the country? And so I think every citizen therefore has a responsibility to know that whether you want Nigeria or you don't want Nigeria, the number one thing is that we need an environment of peace.
Like Hillary Clinton once said, fake news have real-world consequences. It is a danger that must be addressed and addressed quickly. The war against fake news on all social media platforms must begin with every user, so we can create a society that lives in peace and unity.
Yes, there is freedom of speech, and that freedom must be respected, but it also comes with some certain level of responsibility. And trust me, Thelma, the number of internet social media users will certainly increase because of the recent statistic released by the NCC, that's Nigerian Communications Commission, saying that we have about 103 million internet users. You can see the number of growth so far, because just in 2012, yes, we had just about 28 million. So easily, if you put out a message out there, it gets
flies.
Immediately
flies
to every part of Nigeria.
The responsibility part now will be, let's put out the right messages that will add value, message that will impact us and grow us as a nation.
Definitely.
And as a people. You know, that's the responsive part.
Of course.
And if you love Nigeria, it's your responsibility individually and collectively to do things that will impact us. Because you may think you are being funny, that is a joke, I'm hurting somebody else. You never know what goes around. Oftentimes comes around.
And of course we can use it, you can use that platform to advance the cause of Nigeria, improve ensure good governance in Nigeria. Of course, you can use that to checkmate some things the government is doing wrongly, but do it the right way. And then of course, still talking about the democracy in a way, people's participation is very, very integral. Of course, they play a key part in selecting whosoever emerges the winner in different electoral processes. And then they also have that right to recall that representative if they are not happy with the way he is carrying out his activities, most especially at it concerns their constituency. So what is the process of recall like? Let Ene guide us on this report.
Political campaigns have no doubt become an integral part of modern democracy. Its basic essence allows candidates to see their party manifesto and launch efforts to convince voters to support them in an election. The electorate attend rallies, town hall meetings to the success of a particular candidate. And when the voters keep their words, the elected official forgets the campaign promises. Several cases have been recorded. For example, take the case of some members of the National Assembly who, according to the electorate, only visit their constituency when they need their votes. The pertinent is why the politician fails to fulfill their campaign promises.
Many of them made promises that they have least understanding of what it will take to meet those promises. You see a member of a national or state assembly promising roads, hospitals, and social infrastructures. And even a governor will make promises that cannot be kept because they felt, being a state governor, they have the power of life and death. They are the Alpha and Omega. They can do and undo. There's also the angle of lack of sufficient resources, where many of them will tell you, oh, we never knew things were this bad. By the time we were campaigning, we just thought that we hold X debt. We never knew that the debt profile of the state was gargantuan. So at that point, it's late in the day to start crying when the head is off.
Today, Nigeria appears to be making good use of direct democracy to throw out political dictators and incompetent politicians out of the office through the recall process.
I want to believe that the encumbrance is man-made. It is man-made in the sense that, politicians, the right to do everything to hang on to power. And I want to say that it's not only recall alone. In all elective polls, there is a way that the electors need not wait the end of the term of any politician or the elected representative, be it the president, be it the vice, be it the governor, be it the deputy governor, be it the legislator. That is why we have the issue of impeachment procedure for the executive. Instead of the electorate trying to do the recall, it will now be the legislator to do that. Then when it comes to the issue of legislator, the constitution has already made the recall process so clear. I know today many people will always say there is too encumbrance, there is too much complex. Yes, from the face of it, it is complex, but once there's a will, there'll be a way.
The recall process has helped in the preservation of our democracy, as it gives the power to the electorate to recall their elected representative when they fail to perform their responsibility or keep the promises they made.
You mentioned the issue of during that recall process, INEC passed through all the stages of recall, guided by the court pronouncement. And all that matter most is the final stage where the signature has to be verified and people decide. And at the end of the day, the people of Kogi decide that they still want him. That one, to me, is a successful recall. It is not only until when a legislator is removed when we can say a recall is successful. Once you follow the procedure, and the procedure is followed in the manner as prescribed by law, it is successful. If tomorrow a legislator is now removed through the recall process, yes, it is successful. If a legislature still remain there in the recall process, it is successful. The idea of recall is for you to test if whether it is yes or no. So if we have yes, fine. If we have no, fine. What matters most is that the procedure is given a full breadth.
Nigerians need to remember this, as do the elected officials.
I've heard there was one campaign message I heard a few years back, and somebody said that when a student doesn't pass the first time, what ought you to do? Give them a second chance. Why didn't you pass the first time? It's almost like saying when somebody, and that was a message for a serving politician at the time. So I asked myself, you had 4 years to perform. You made promises. People relied on you. They counted on you. They believed in you. And you are that audacious to come and say, help me along again. If you didn't do the first time, what is the guarantee that you do well the second time? Well, luckily, we have this process, and if we gather ourselves together, if somebody breaks a promise which affects people's lives and that of our children, I think we should take a big step.
Definitely, and then you don't have to wait for 4 years to, say we don't want you again. Even after 1 year, if you don't like him, maybe it's not representing you well. Start the process.
But perhaps before you start the process, citizens can find a way to show that they expect a bit more, and that the candidate or the elected officer is not doing as promised before you take this big step, because this is totally final.
Yeah, definitely.
Once the recall process gathers an amount of signatures, it's almost a done deal. I think it's 2/3.
And Thelma, trust me, I'm sure the people whosoever, initiate this recall process must have thought about all that means, to
or explored them,
Definitely.
and it didn't get them the result that it is desired. Okay.
Yeah. But certainly we have one result that we need right now, and that is the break. Thank you for staying with us. If you just joined us, this is Weekend Deal, showing on the largest TV network in Africa. Now, let's go to something that we encourage you to do, and that is do it yourself. And today we are looking at the ways to revamp an old shoe.
Do it yourself, do it fabulous, do it glamorous. You know, we celebrate our fabric, and there are so many ways to highlight its usage beautifully. Did you see the pair of shoes before it was adorned, and you saw it afterwards?
Exactly.
In fact, the way the lady was walking had changed because she had glammed it up.
And trust me, it looked classy. And trust me, what you're putting on right now, okay, people are not seeing your shoes, but
you're not going to see it.
No, trust me, with what you're wearing now, we can actually revamp this pair of shoes.
I was saying the same thing, that very immediately after this show, I'm going to get in touch with my dear friend Uma and ask her, why have you not taken all my pairs of shoes?
Well, while you people concentrate on that, I think I'll be, looking forward to marketing the products.
Fantastic.
Okay, recently Nigerians decided to, elect President Muhammadu Buhari for the second time to lead them to the promised land in the next 4 years. And then reactions continue to trail that decision. Wale Hamzat actually took his time to package this, some of these reactions. So let's take this.
The 2019 presidential elections may have come and gone, and yet it will go down on records as one of the most keenly contested elections in Nigeria's history. Muhammadu Buhari, candidate of the All Progressive Congress (APC), emerged the winner of the contest and was returned elected for a second term of 4 years. The reactions that have since poured in after the announcement of the election results affirm that it is a victory that comes with little or no surprises to many political enthusiasts.
The popular will of the Nigerians was exhibited, and President Muhammad Buhari was re-elected. To most of us, it didn't come to us as a surprise. Nigerians trust him. They've seen what he's done. They believe he should continue so that he can consolidate on some of the things he has done.
That victory is a victory foretold. It's a victory that most of us, except we want to deceive ourselves, we know this is how it will tilt to. I remember that one of those times I was discussing with Femi Falana, senior advocate of Nigeria. He told me as if like a prophet that this is where the whole thing is, that this election is not about noise making. This election is not about social media, that most of those that rambles, that raise so much noise, they're on social media instead of going to this grassroots, and most of them don't even vote.
I believe with his sincerity, the trust they have in him, and transparency and honesty has shown in governance. And the most important thing in governance is trust. And Nigerians seem to have that trust in him. Majority of Nigerians seems to have that trust in him.
For the first time in Nigerian history, you see a president that enjoys mass appeal, and the people on the street, the Alimanjiris, the Talakawas, the boys that we call them street boys, they went all out. This election is not about sophistication. This election is not about Turenshi. This election is not about those that do all those analysis and to say this person. This election is about whether how sweet or how nice.
At stake were his integrity, record of service and commitment to fatherland. Muhammadu Buhari earned the confidence of millions of Nigerians who trooped out on election day to re-elect a president they believed in.
Those who didn't know who he was are beginning to realize what he stands for and what he wants for Nigeria. And I believe he means well for our country. I've worked with him now for 3.5 years, and I know, and I can tell you what this man stands for. And it's very difficult to get a man that will show that level of sacrifice he's showing now. At his age, I believe that we need him, and this is the time we need him. And we should use such a person to put certain things in place.
With victory comes huge expectations from the electorates. The need to provide infrastructure, stabilize the economy, and improve internal security will be key to redefining the success of the Buhari's second-term administration.
One thing you should give to Buhari is that whatever he's doing, he put all the cards on the table. He's not a Maradonic that he is fond of deceiving people and playing them. But the area, if there is one thing, Buhari has made it clear, even if you need to listen to his victory speech, to say, look, I will continue to do what I promised Nigeria. The area of economy is to strengthen our economy. When we come to the area of security, we try to do as much as possible to ensure that Nigeria security and our boundary, our integrity is protected. And finally, anti-corruption will continue.
We look at governance all over the world. Continuity is very, very important. There are certain things we're putting in place, and for us to achieve where we want to be, we need somebody like him to continue. The next level means a lot to me, and I'm sure expectations are high from Nigeria when they hear the next level. What the next level simply means that yes, we came, we found out what was there in this country, we've been able to lay foundation. It has not been easy. Through sacrifices from us and Nigerians, there are certain things that Nigerians would have loved to see, quick wins that they would have loved to see. Some were able to provide, some were not able to provide. We are telling them now that at the next level, those goodies, those expectations we believe will be realized.
That was quite interesting and thought-provoking. I like the combination of that documentary-style feature. It tells us that our expectations are being well thought of, and a good number of them are in the works. Provision is being made. And it says, the minister said that in this next level, we foretell exciting things for Nigeria. I think that is an immense and very impactful statement that will go a long way to improving and boosting the morale of many Nigerians.
And trust me, Thelma, it's not going to be easy because there's still a lot more that needs to be done.
Sure.
But it's still definitely a step in the right direction. And even the president himself has promised a more inclusive government. And we're hoping that this next level will certainly, reap a lot of dividends of democracy, knowing fully that it's three key, areas that he wants to focus on. Is that economy,
which he started from the first term.
Security, and the fight against corruption.
And of course, the main thing at the end of the day is the positive impact it leaves in the lives of Nigerians, so that we are able to do things for ourselves and our families just the way that we have been promised. The next level indeed. You have the support of Nigerians, and we continue to wish our government at all levels very, very well. Still talking about candidacy, elections, and politics. What is the role of godfatherism in picking candidates, in getting them elected, in getting the voters to go out there? Is there godfatherism in our Nigerian politics and polity?
Well, let's Francis Ogbe guide us through this picture and feature.
One of the problems militating against true development by the political parties in Nigeria is the absence of internal democracy, often symbolized by what has come to be known as the godfather factor or godfatherism.
Godfather is a person who is supposed to be a mentor, a person who is supposed to facilitate and help you, succeed in life. So in politics, a godfather is the person who adopts you, who finds either potential in you, and is willing to invest his goodwill or her goodwill to enable you emerge as a political force.
The emergent notion of godfatherism in politics and elections portrayed the political godfather as a mercenary politician who is willing to provide mentorship to his godson to the extent that the latter could be used to expand and consolidate the power base of the godfather, as well as entrench the parasitic relationship the godfather maintains with the state.
Godfatherism in Nigerian politics is a negative, mercantilist behavior of political leaders to keep on planting persons who they will control for the purpose of advancing their own economic and political objectives rather than the purpose of serving the public good. And the other negative aspect of it in Nigeria is that godfatherism has become a way of subverting the will of even party members and electorate. So a typical godfatherism situation in Nigeria is that a leading political personage, leading political person, imposes a person who is not acceptable, who perhaps has no pedigree and has no capital among that political group, imposes a person from outside, usually a relative, sometimes a family member or extended associate, and then impose it against the will of party members. The person becomes the party candidate, and then they go ahead and impose them as winners of elections that are oftentimes manipulated.
From the return to civil rule in 1999, the Nigerian political landscape has more than ever before become plagued by the overbearing presence and influence of political godfathers. Most politicians see political godfathers as the most convenient means of winning elections.
Over time, godfatherism elicits pushback, counter resistance to that invasion, that aggression from the godfather. And so that's why in many parts of Nigeria you see very critical conflict areas around politics. We are persons. Enough is enough. It's an idea that, look, we just have to overthrow this tyranny. So over time, it becomes a tyranny of one man over every other person. And what the tyranny generates is resistance, resentments, and violence ultimately. That's one negative side. So it brings back violence. Secondly, when you are implanted by a godfather who is powerful, and you keep to the term of this transaction, you deliver what the godfather wants, then you don't care about the people, because first, you don't have a sense of obligation to the people. You don't have a sense of gratitude. They didn't vote for you. You were imposed by this godfather. And this creates this incentive to perform, to respond to the needs of the people, and then distorts democracy to now depend on the goodwill of the godfather, not on the goodwill of people. And so it creates another problem, which is that those who came through godfatherism rarely deliver on good governance.
Experience has shown that the patronage of political godfathers carry with it grave consequences, not only for the politician, but also for the public and the political stability of the country itself.
What happens in godfatherism is that oftentimes these godfathers have paid their dues. They've been able to seduce and entrap the mind of the people. The people who have lost agency, they can't determine what they want. So in every election cycle, they tell them where to vote. This is where we're going. So if who pays the godfather gets the nod, and the people follow the godfather's nod. So it becomes a case of what we call in political science literature, prebendalism, where the godfather is the one who dispenses, gives people what they want. Christmas rice, to election time, he gives small money, gives them money, and then determines their political behavior.
It should be noted that the primary aim of godfathers is the development of self and not the electorate, community, or nation. It is an ideology which deprives the people of their fundamental human rights of not benefiting from the dividends of democracy. This practice is rapidly converting politics from a civil engagement to an enterprise where only the money bags are beneficiaries.
We start with very deep-rooted electoral reform. Reforms that make elections transparent. Reforms that regulate the use of cash, financing in election. Reforms that make sure that bad money, illicit money, money laundered money, corrupt money are not used to fund election. That's one way of dealing with godfatherism.
Therefore, there is need for a holistic appraisal of our political system, especially looking at how political parties in Nigeria are formed, structured, and most importantly, financed.
Wow. Francis Ogbe, I mean, you nailed it. Dr. Sam Amadi just totally brought to light what sometimes people find difficult to put into words. He clearly depicted the situation in many areas of our polity and our politics. And I think it is something that we should learn and refuse to imbibe the negative qualities of what ought to be an ideal mentoring experience. Let's take the good away from that experience and discard what does not pay the electorate and the polity.
And that is why we are saying that if it's possible to just take away that word, maybe just substitute with, political mentors, political benefactors, maybe we allow this idea, the purpose, the true purpose.
So you
of
are
that,
saying is the name that has brought about the negative connotation?
Let the name, be well transmitted or, translated in action. Not just because truly the most godfathers in Nigeria just stand out to benefit themselves, but the idea is to develop the community. And yes, still talking about the elections, of course, the last weekend it was all about the governorship and State House of Assembly elections. And then we witnessed a lot of drama, and voter apathy was something central to that process as well. So we took time, myself and Wale, to just have some, roving experience. It was Saturday morning, another election day, and my colleague Wale and I decided to go for a roving expedition, using his phone to record the process. Eligible voters in 29 states of the Federation were voting in the governorship and House of Assembly elections, but here in the FCT, it was all about the chairmanship and councillorship in the 6 area councils. Our first stop was in Karu, where the polling units represented the picture of what was mostly experienced in several polling units in Abuja: voter apathy. The presiding officers here confirmed this trend that is inimical to the country's fledgling democracy.
Well, the number of people during the presidential election is much, unlike today's own. People are not much, but at least some people are coming to vote.
By your estimation, how many people have voted so far?
I think they are like 40.
And during the presidential election, like how many people voted at this time?
We have over 200 votes.
It's peaceful. What about your equipment here, the card readers and all of that?
Everything is working, so we have no problem with it. Okay.
But it's been smooth so far.
Yes, sir.
Some electoral officers were idle and waited endlessly for voters. Well, you can't really fault this one for taking a nap. However, Mama Nana does not have the luxury of time to nap.
This one. This one, people there, but they're not too clean like the Baba Buhari one.
So, for market income?
Market not too day today, because people know too much, people know plenty. So we just they manage the market. But we thank God.
You no vote?
Yeah, I don't vote.
Okay, where be your polling unit?
Now here.
So after you vote, you go first market.
So what I go chop? If I know first market, what I go chop?
Trust me, the akara, if you like bean cake, was sweet, and cocoa or pap would have made perfect sense. These future voters were also affected by the low turnout of the electorate, as it translated to low patronage. How much are you selling the kunu? 15 naira. Are people buying? You see people voting. Don't you want to vote at some point?
Yes, I want to vote.
Unfortunately, you are not up to that age yet.
Yes.
Yes, we are in a digital world, but Wale prefers the hard copy of newspapers, which is good for this vendor. I am not selfish, but I think I love the free road. Vehicular movement restriction in full effect. The temptation to break traffic rules truly exists, but we reminded ourselves to do the needful despite the free traffic. The driver of this car was actually taking advantage of the free road to perfect her driving skills, but she did not want to stop for a chat. Participation is an important aspect of the electoral process, and we were hopeful to see more voters in Durumi Junior Secondary School. Before you breathe a sigh of relief, this crowd formed part of the 35% of the over 85 million registered voters that took part in the last month's presidential and National Assembly elections. Sadly, this is the true picture today. One wonders why voters are not keen in the selection process of the government that is nearest to them.
The voters don't consider it as crucial as the presidential election, so it just didn't bother. Maybe some because they spent a long time on the queue during the last election, they decided to stay at home. But I can also notice that even though there's a low voter turnout, there are many women coming out to vote. Well, early in the morning, very few women, but it's like later they started coming out. Perhaps they've heard that there are no queues.
But somebody was telling me the one I voted in is not what I expected that came out. It's not what everybody expected that came out. So why am I voting again? Is it not after they will write what they like? That's what people said, not me.
You have casted your vote.
I have.
What are you still waiting for?
I'm waiting for them to count the thing. At least I'm one of the people that have not lost hope. Let's see what happens. Let's see whether our vote still counts. That is why I'm still here.
This one, I don't understand. Because I'm the one, I go call people, everybody come out to come and vote, to come and do this thing. They say they will not come out. Because they didn't give them anything. They didn't accept anything, so they will not come out. I say, why? They say, no. They will not come out. Or if they say people where you go give them money, they will say anything where they give them and it be their own. Because they can't see them again. So may God help us for Nigeria.
The phone battery was very weak, but whatever reason given for the voter apathy, it is fair to conclude that it is a threat to democracy.
Wow. You know what makes that particularly revealing, novel, and very inspiring is that Sule is just staring at me like I'm his bride. Is that Sule and Wale captured the entire package we just saw with an iPhone. They were hastening up to come to the NTA from home to come and get the production crew, but they felt that by the time they got back here and got back on the street, they would have missed the highlights of that day. So pictorially, they stood and captured with their mobile phone. I say kudos to Wale and Sule. You've inspired an entire nation, and you brought us details and images that have enriched our lives and broadened our perspective today. Kudos, Sule. Well done. Well done, well done. Keep up the good job. And still on Weekend Deal, we're gradually coming to a culmination of the show today. And we're going to take a look at what we talked about earlier today. We talked about a special tribute being paid to the passengers of the ill-fated Ethiopian airline.
The world woke up on March 11, 2019 to the sad event of the crash of an Ethiopian airline, flight ET-AVJ, to Nairobi, en route Addis Ababa. All 157 passengers and crew members on board the Boeing 737 MAX flight died in the crash. Ambassador Biodo Bashua, a renowned diplomat, and Pius Adesomi, a professor of English at Carleton University in Canada, were two Nigerians who died in the crash. Tributes have poured in the past week
Well, may their soul rest in peace. And of course, the black box is being investigated in France. But no matter the outcome of that investigation, it will not bring these people back. And we'll continue to pray and stand with the family, with their families. May their souls rest in peace. Moving on now, let's join Godwin Enakina for Sports Summit.
Thank you, Godwin. The program has come to an end. We thank you, our esteemed viewers, for keeping our company, and we have celebrated great Nigerians who have demised. We wish their families. We pray that God will grant them the fortitude to bear the loss. And Nigerians support you in prayer, and also we're praying with you. Thank you so much.
And this is where we call it a day until we meet again tomorrow, bright and early. Bye for now.